Can you see that JJ Watt picture behind me in the? It's a JJ Watt picture
Yeah,
with bells. It's my daughter's thing. Yeah,
yeah.
she loves JJ Watt. Yeah.
I noticed that yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yep.
Yeah, yesterday. I noticed that
Yeah, it was
yesterday.
JJ Watt. Yeah.
Alright, so,
That dude's almost like the perfect human. I'm waiting for, hey, JJ Watt caught in a hotel with hookers and drugs. That won't happen.
And welcome to RTF Sports Talk here. Marcus caught me off guard there with some comments that will not be repeated because it's never going to happen. But guys, this is the final show of RTF Sports Talk, but then we'll be back. We'll be back Monday at the normal time, but then Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays at 4 p.m. East Coast time on YouTube Live. It'll be in the podcast form like always. Shortly after the podcast or after the YouTube stream is over. But as always, I am joined with my man Marcus. Marcus, how's it going today, bud?
Pretty good. Feeling a little better today. Spurs go up 2-1. I was at the game. It was electric. The crowd was just so into it. Even the rich people down there at the lower bowl, they actually had something to say. They usually are real quiet, but playoff time, the rich folks amp it up a little bit, and so it was loud in that arena last night, and the Spurs needed it, and they take I don't want to say commanding, but they take control of the series with a
Well,
2-1.
I am
Yeah,
going to say a commanding league because Marcus, the number of the day here is 12. The Denver Nuggets are 0-12 when they go down 2-1 in a series.
yeah,
Wrap your head around that. 0-12. They haven't won in San Antonio all season, and now they're down 2-1.
yeah,
History usually, kind of repeats itself. So
yeah.
I would
That's
be
why.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's why I mentioned the other day that when you win the odd games, odd number games, like you win games 3 and 5 and 7, obviously you win seven,
Yeah.
you're
Right.
winning. But when you take control and win games three, I think it's like near 60 something percent people win the series. And then if you win game five when the series is tied 2-2, it's like near 80%.
Yeah. So
So yeah,
as a Spurs fan right now, I'll be having my chest pumped out a little bit,
yeah,
walking with a little bit more swagger through town. And there is no reason not to be excited. You are a 7 seed, beating up on a 2 seed, and you look like the dominant team out there. So, I mean, it's a win-win for
yeah.
Spurs Nation right now.
It's a weird kind of series in the sense that you can throw the seeds out the window on this one because the Spurs kind of look like the 2 seed and Denver looks like an up and coming 7 seed that got hot for a quarter and won one game.
Yeah,
So yeah, Spurs have controlled the pace and the tempo, and it looks very promising. That being said, you still got to be a little guarded here because Game 4, Denver could catch on fire, and then next thing you know, it's 2-2 back to Denver. But I don't see that happening. I see even if Denver catches on fire, Spurs will play well at home, and yeah, I anticipate a much closer game than it was last night. And last night it was a really close game, and the cream just kind of rise to the top, and the Spurs just kind of blew them out in the end, like all teams are supposed to do that are better than the other team that they're playing. But that being said, I see in the future their next game is Game 4 Saturday night. I see like a 98-98 game with 5 minutes left, or something like that. 90-90 with 5 minutes left. I see that in the future. I see Denver playing a lot better Game 4. Spurs still winning, but the game's gonna come down to a few possessions.
So, I mean, since we're already talking about Spurs, we might as well jump into it right here. Just like anyways, like we've been saying, the Spurs have gone up 2-1 on this on that series here. So, Marcus, as a Spurs fan, since you guys are up 2-1 and you have such a commanding lead, or I mean, let's be honest, like the Spurs have kind of been dominating this whole series. Like they had a quarter and a half laps. They've been kind of dominating here. How would you feel if you guys end up losing this series in 6 games, or even losing it in 7
Seven,
games?
probably.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's the only way the Spurs would lose this series, I believe. If it went back to Denver for a Game 7 and Denver's crowd, their emotion, and Denver kind of shot well and carried them through. I still think the Spurs could win a game 7 in Denver. I don't think it's going to come down to that though. I think Spurs win in 6. To answer your question, how would I feel? I'd feel terrible because the Spurs have been the better team for Denver went on a 16-0 run in the second quarter, so I'll give that quarter to Denver. Spurs have been the better team out of 10 out of the 12 quarters right now.
Right.
They look like the 2 seed. So yeah, I would feel something would drastically have to change for that to happen. They're doing the right thing the way they're playing Jokic, and Jamal Murray's in a slump right now, and we'll keep him. Hopefully he'll stay there because Derek White's putting really good defense on him. The Spurs are controlling everything, the pace, the tempo. It's just really nice to see. The only way Denver got back even into the series was they allowed Spurs allowed Denver with like 21 fast break points. Yep. And so Denver got out and ran for layups and at the 3-point line in that fourth quarter. But that's not happening. Spurs have the better coaching staff, and the Spurs are controlling these games and what they're doing defensively. Like I said on Jokic, and the Spurs, people talk about the Denver Nuggets. They're the 2 seed that they've had the better players. Listen, I love Denver. Denver's got really good players, but we have 2 All-NBA players in LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan. They have 1 All-NBA player, number 15, Jokic. So let's stop with the whoever's out there saying that Denver has the better players. Denver's a good team now. Jamal Murray's a borderline all-star, and Jamal Murray can explode for 40 if you're not careful. But the Spurs actually have the better players than the Denver Nuggets.
Right. And speaking of players here, just like you alluded to, White, he did go for a high of 36 points. He is the second player ever in Spurs history, and the first one since 2009 to score 26 points and a half. I believe Tony Parker was the one that did it in 2009. And he's also the third player in Spurs history to finish with 35, 5, and 5. Tim Duncan did it 4 times, and then I want to say it was Ginobili that did it. Was the other guy? It
was Parker. Parker did it once.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. So,
Derek White's doing is he's putting a lot of pressure on the Denver defense by going to the rim. He's not settling for 20 footers. He's taking it straight to the Nuggets. The Nuggets don't really have a shot blocker unless Plumlee's in the game. And so when Plumlee's out of the game, it's open season because as good as Jokic is, he's not a great shot blocker. He's you know what I mean? So he's not going to get up and rise up there and block people at the rim. But, Derek White is doing a fabulous job at getting to the rim. So many points in the paint, especially in that first quarter. I think he drove 6 times and was 6 for 6 going to the rim. That's an easy 12 points right there. So Denver is not having an answer for him. And it's great to see this guy's coming out party was last night. And it's going to be fun to watch in the future. I don't want to go too crazy on Derek White. I don't think he's going to become, some perennial all-star every year. Derek White's in there. But he is a good, strong, heady player. And if he keeps this up, he'll make a couple all-star teams. I think that's where his ceiling is. About 16, 17 points per game, 6, 7 assists. And so he's a heck of a find for the Spurs last year with the 29th pick, a first-round pick, but the 29th overall selection. And he's a heck of a find for the Spurs. That guy's really, really, really talented. But, people at San Antonio, they loved, he's going to be the next superstar. Let's hold on. Let's pump the brakes. He's going to be a really good player.
Right.
Let's not put him in that upper echelon yet.
But, but at the same time, that's all the Spurs need. They need really good players that work well together in the end. And that's kind of what they have. I mean, they're kind of young still. Pop has a little bit of molding still to do, two of them. And next year, they may not be a championship team, but the following year, they could, if this core stays together, they trust the process, in air quotes, they could be really, really, really good. Just depending on what the Clippers do, obviously, this off season where they're seeing.
As soon as the Golden State Warriors dismantle, which that will happen after this year, it's I was talking to my son about this yesterday. It's going to be fun for everybody. Yeah. Everybody's got a shot now because Durant goes to the Knicks or Clippers or wherever he goes to, and so now you're looking at a situation where Golden State kind of breaks up. Now Golden State is still just a regular great team now. Now they can become beatable. They're almost unbeatable with Durant joined them. That's why it makes sometimes the NBA not fun to watch. But everybody's going to have a chance next year. Spurs have a shot at getting to the finals next year as soon as Golden State dismantles. Houston will still be there. The Clippers are going to get better. And the Nuggets have a shot, just as good a shot as anybody getting to the finals next year if the Warriors dismantle.
Right.
So
they are gaining their needed experience for this year, for next year. So speaking of the Golden State here, I kind of called it. They played a full 48 minutes last night. You can only poke the bear so much before the bear gets angry and wants to flex your and they're going to eat you. And that's kind of what happened last night. Golden State did beat the Clippers 132 to 105. And I hate to pat my own back again, but Kevin Durant did go off with 38 points. Yeah. It's just as I think he said in his post game interview, I'm KD. I do KD things. And like there is no more me and Beverly. It's the KD show or something like
yeah.
He was very third person last night in the post game interview.
He was the real deal, Michael. You were 100% right. I thought the Clippers would come out a little more aggressive and stay with the Warriors for a little while. Then I thought the Warriors would kind of pull away in the fourth quarter. The Warriors pulled away in the second quarter. Yeah. It was bad right from the, you called it right on the money. I mean, that thing was over before it started. I'm anxious to see, every game takes on its own entity. I can't wait to see own identity. I can't wait to see how the Clippers respond from getting their butts whipped and Golden State regaining their dominance, because this is probably the Clippers' last stand here. I mean, because if they get their butts kicked game 4, then this series over, and then they got to go to game 5, and the Warriors will take care of it game 5. I just find it funny that the Clippers won one game just so the Warriors have to suit up again for game 5 and have to play a game they didn't think they would play. I think Kerr mentioned it last week about the technicals. He said Durant's going to get 7 technicals get thrown out. We're going to play like 24 games in the playoffs, and these guys are going to play 4 games. Yeah. Well, Kerr, you were wrong. They're going to play 5 because they beat you once.
Right.
But it's just funny, man. And you know what? When you're a team like Golden State and you've been through it, it's a mental grind, and you're like, oh man, now we got to suit up for game 5, and they thought that they wouldn't have to. And anything can happen in a game 5 in terms of not the Clippers winning, but man, Durant could sprain an ankle in the first quarter of game 5.
Yeah.
And a game you shouldn't be in.
And they are
because you messed up. Yes. So just the fact that they're going to have to suit up for another game is funny.
Yeah. And speaking of suiting up, it was about 10 minutes before the game. The Philadelphia Sixers announced last night that Joel Embiid was not playing, and I actually sent you a text. I'm like, my pick is screwed. But but Philly came out and they dominated too. It was a 131-115 game, and Ben Simmons showed up. I mean, even a wrong clock is right 2 times a day, but Ben Simmons did have 31 points, and people are like, this is the problem with like media and people in general. Like, you have one good game and like, oh, he's the greatest player ever, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Show me again in game 4, okay? Like, if he shows me again in game 4, I might buy a little bit into his hype. If he do it again in game 5, maybe a little bit more. Game 7 and he does it again, okay, he is finally, the player that we've been looking for since he came into the league. But one game, 31 points, versus with a aging player guarding him. Not much to brag about there, Simmons.
Well, I mean, Ben Simmons showed his dominance last night. I mean, he showed he's the real deal. Nobody said he's a bad player. I was just saying, Stephen A. Smith was saying earlier that he can be as good as LeBron James, and I don't think so, because I don't think he has the explosiveness that LeBron James has. But he's a heck of a player, though. Ben Simmons, he just has to develop a jump shot, and he hasn't done that yet. But man, when he drives to the basket or when he posts up, he is deadly at 6'9", and we can talk all of Ben Simmons we want because he was a great player, but that guy Tobias Harris really showed up last night.
Yeah,
and we had to put an APB out on him after game 1. Remember, he was 2 for 7,
right?
And basically was just jogging up and down the court, didn't do anything. In 40 minutes, the guy Tobias Harris went 2 for 7. That's ridiculous. So we put an APB out on him, and he's shown up since then. Last night he had 29 points and 16 rebounds. He's about 6'8" at the small forward position, and he was just fabulous last night. Didn't miss any threes, grabbing rebounds. I mean, the guy's ferocious, and he's going to be on the Olympic team this summer with Popovich, and he's one of the guys that I hope that, if the Spurs can sign a Tobias Harris in the offseason, I'll tell you right now, Denver Nuggets are a really, really good player, great player away from being 65 wins. Tobias Harris, you put Tobias Harris on the Nuggets or the Spurs right now, and then Golden State's in trouble because that's just another player that you have to deal with.
Right.
So, so Tobias Harris is going to be a hot commodity in the offseason. I know that Spurs are going to go after him with Pop and Pop talking to him on the Olympic trials and all that. I can't wait to see where that goes. Jimmy Butler, I think he's going to be a hot commodity. So the Sixers have their work cut out for them if they want to keep this team intact with Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris.
Right.
I don't know if they can sign both of them. They might have to pick one, and then so that the other one goes somewhere else. So that'll be interesting to see that offseason. But Tobias Harris showed off last night. He was the real deal. And he didn't show up in game one, but he was fabulous last night. He just like Ben Simmons is the reason that the Nets got beat last night, because everybody will talk about Ben Simmons, but Tobias Harris, 29 points and 16 rebounds, was absolutely fabulous. He played like an all-star and a coveted free agent this offseason.
Yeah, I have to agree with you 100% there. The reason why we're going to talk about Simmons the most is because he did lead the game in points, and the tweet before the game is kind of what, quote, sparked his firing game, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
So all those series are up 2-1 now. Philly is 2-1. San Antonio is 2-1, and Golden State is 2-1. And just to what you alluded to earlier, when a team does go up 2-1 in a series, they have a 65% winning percentage.
Yeah.
Per Elias Sports, and that's
right.
That's since 2000.
Yeah, and then when it's 2-2, and my daughter, when it's 2-2. Okay, baby. When it's 2-2, I think you said it goes from 65%. When it's 2-2, the winner of Game 5, I think that thing goes up another 13. It's like 78 or something ridiculous. So that's why those odd number games, the Games 3 and Games 5, are so pivotal. Yeah. And you just have to, like, Game 4 and Game 6 are important too, but you win Game 4 and Game 6 just to get to a Game 5, get to a Game 7. They're almost like so they're not totally as important, but every game's important, but those odd number games, they usually decide the series.
Yeah.
So Denver just has to, like, they're going to struggle just to get back to 2-2. So yeah. So this is that's a really good stat. I'm glad you showed that from the last Sports Bureau. I knew it was like in the 60s, but it was 65%. Yeah.
Yeah. And so guys, we're going to take a quick break here, and on the other side of the break, we're going to pick our Friday, Saturday games. And possibly Sunday games. I'm not for sure. There's a lot of games to pick, and there's a lot of things that could happen between Friday and Sunday. So we'll probably just pick the Friday, Saturday games just to kind of keep it more authentic. So guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. And join us for some more NBA playoff talk right on the other side of the break.
Yeah, we can pick games, and then you want to go to
Yeah. All right, guys, and welcome back to RTF Sports Talk, aka the Marcus and Mike Show. And I am Mike, obviously. The other guy on the other side of that name is Marcus. And Marcus, we're gonna just continue talking our NBA talk. Friday slate of games. These are very pivotal games, very important games for these teams. Like, obviously, the first matchup that happens tonight is 7 o'clock on ESPN. Actually, it is Toronto at Orlando. We both thought this game was going to be a sweep. Magic stepped up in Game 1 and showed them that it's not going to be all gravy like we all thought.
Right.
So Who do you got in this one?
Toronto. I mean, I picked Toronto in the sweep. I'm obviously going to be wrong, but it'll be Toronto in 5. They kind of it's really disappointing for them to lose game 1. They gained control of the series. They blew out Orlando. They showed who the dominant team was. Doesn't mean Orlando's going to go away now here in games 3 and 4. Their crowd's going to be raucous. It's tough to win on NBA home court. I don't care who you are. That crowd swarming right on you. But Toronto should win these games. Usually, like what happens is it could be a nip and tuck game, and then usually the cream rises to the top. The better team usually pulls away and wins by 10, 15 points. I see that happening in both games 3 and 4. Possibly could come down to the wire a couple of these games, but when one team has Kawhi Leonard and the other team doesn't, I'm going to go with the team that has Kawhi Leonard. And then even in that game 1, Kawhi Leonard hit all the big shots down the stretch. Toronto still lost because DJ Augustine made a great play off that pick and roll, hit that 3.
Yep.
But Kawhi Leonard is a big shot maker. He's not in. He's not in that Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, or LeBron James category, but he's in that next echelon. The James Harden, Kyrie Irving. That next, even though Kyrie Irving hit a big shot to win a championship, but I guess you could put Kyrie up there in that upper echelon. But that next tier of the James Hardens, Kawhi Leonard, Damian Lillard. Yeah. I trust them as well, even though Kawhi Leonard's done it, but he not with his own team. So Kawhi Leonard's in that next realm, and when you have Kawhi Leonard on your team playing against Orlando, I mean, I'll take the team with Kawhi Leonard any day of the week. So Kawhi Leonard will probably hit some big shots down the stretch, and Kyle Lowry showed up the other night, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, finally.
Glad he could join. Yeah, glad he could join us. Toronto's just too tough defensively. They're going to make life heck on everybody. So Toronto should win this one by 10. I say by 10, 15 points. Both games 3 and 4. Sunday's game as well.
Yeah, and I'm on the complete opposite side of the coin. Like on this one, I think game 3, Magic is going to come out and they're going to play lights out. Everything's going to be falling form. Toronto's kind of because they got that long cross country flight. I guess you can say like Orlando has a long cross country flight too, but it's something to say sleeping in your own bed after a long flight versus a hotel room.
Right.
So I think Magic are going to come out and do really well in game 3, and I think they're going to win this game. I think DJ Augustine is going to have another great game. I think Kyle Lowry isn't going to show up again. We're going to have to put out a mystery report for him. Just like they did Tobias Harris. Kawhi Leonard is still going to get his 26, 27 points. But the Magic team as a whole, they are going to do well. They're going to be shooting so well that they can be sitting in the 10th row on the opposite side of the court. Throw up a shot, and it's going to switch it. It is just going to be that kind of night for them. Everything is going to go right. Everything is going to click, and they're going to get one game, and then Toronto's going to be like, whoa, okay, we got to play a full 48 minutes. They'll win game 4, game 5, and game 6.
Okay, yeah, I mean, no, I see you. I see your point. I mean, it's not like Orlando is a terrible team. I know that they barely squeaked in, they barely made the playoffs, but I'm gonna tell you something. Fournier, the Orlando Magic 2 guard, 6'6" from French kid for Fournier.
Yep.
He's about as good a shooter as you're gonna find in this league, besides Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry, and he can shoot the ball as well. He's a smooth jumper. And then when you got Vucevic and Aaron Gordon, that's always a tough matchup. I mean, I could see Orlando winning this game. You know what I mean? Just because we disagree, I think Toronto can win. Wouldn't shock me at all if Orlando won game 3. They have some good players. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be very. It is going to take a miracle for Orlando to win. They have to play a perfect lights out game, but it's still going to be close. But
you're picking on Sunday. On Sunday, you're picking Toronto. So when next time we're on Monday, it'll be 2-2.
Yeah. I think they will steal this one game. Well, it's not stealing it; they're on their home court. But they will win this one game, and then they'll lose the rest, and then it's a 6-game series like at that point. So moving on here to a must-win game, you have Boston Celtics taking on Indiana Pacers. Celtics are leading the series 2-0. When a team goes down 3-0 in a series, I believe only 3 teams have ever come back from a 3-0 deficit to win a series. So very, very low percentage like at that point. And who do you got in this one?
You remember when Boston was struggling? Boston's kind of got it together recently, right?
Yeah.
But do you remember when Boston was struggling mid-season? You know, everybody was expecting them to have the top record,
Right.
And they just kind of they ended up being a 4 seed, which was, you know, everybody thought they were going to be the number 1 seed. We get back Gordon and we get back Kyrie, and we're just going to dominate the league, right? And so they struggled for a while. Kyrie's leadership, not enough basketballs. How do you develop Jaylen Brown and Tatum when Kyrie and Gordon need their shots? I mean, so it's kind of like, and then Rozier, I'd want to get out of there if I'm Rozier, the backup point guard to Kyrie.
Yep.
If Kyrie's not going to leave, I got to get out of there because Rozier's a heck of a talent kid out of Louisville. He's like 6'4", 6'5", and I'd want my own team. I'd want a chance at my own team, and if it wouldn't be with the Celtics, then I got to get out of there. But I think Kyrie's leaving. So the reason I'm saying that, Michael, is when they were struggling a couple of months ago, you're about to see all that come back.
Yep.
What they did here going up 2-0 will disappear. And it's going to be 2-2. Indiana's going to win tonight, and Indiana's going to win on Sunday. I believe they play on Sunday. And now all the questions are going to happen like the way it was in the midseason, like what's wrong with the Celtics and da-da-da. And it's going to be a major thing. And then the Celtics are going to have all the pressure on them to win Game 5. Now, I think the Celtics will win Game 5, but I think Indiana gets these 2 games here Friday and Sunday. Indiana is too good. It's such a shame. We've talked about this till we're blue in the face, losing Oladipo, because they easily would have had home court advantage had they not lost Oladipo. And we'd be talking about a completely different series. Indiana would probably be up 2-0 on somebody.
Yeah.
So
I have to. I mean, like looking at this and like from afar, and you see 2-0 series, and like kind of how the Pacers have just been, or I'm sorry, the Celtics have kind of just been dominating the series. For you to say that they're going to come back and go 2-2, I have to agree with you. It's something about home cooking in the playoffs after a rough road trip. You're hungry. You've gotten a couple good night sleeps. You've seen your wife. You've seen your other wife. That type of thing. And I look for Pacers to come out and play really good basketball tonight. They are favored by 3 points, even being down 2-0 in the series. I'm looking for Collison to have a pretty good game. He's been kind of quiet, kind of been a facilitator like the last few games. I look for him to step up and have a pretty good game. 16, 17 points, but the box score is not going to tell how he played this game or like how big important he was in this game. So I have to agree with you. I think it's going to be a 2-2 series going back to Boston. I did originally have 7 games, but I think it's only going to be a 6-game series like at this point. Pacers will win 2, but then Celtics will win Game 5 and Game 6.
Yeah, my original was Celtics in 5. But after I watch Indiana and how they match up with the Celtics, I think Indiana's going to extend this. I think this thing's going 7. I would change it to Celtics in 7 now. And I actually would favor Indiana if they had Oladipo. I'm going to go ahead and put that APB out like we did on Tobias Harris and Miles Turner. 8 points. And I just finished. I finished bragging on him a couple of days ago.
Right.
6'11", block shots and shoots over the top. People can post you up. Hey, Miles Turner, somebody's got to be telling him the next couple of days. Hey, the playoffs started, man, and we got a couple of home games here. I expect Miles Turner to go off for 30.
Okay, there you go. Big facts there.
I expect.
I think he has to.
Yeah.
I mean, like if he don't, they're done. I mean, like
I
don't know. But let's go ahead and move on to I think the most surprising series of all so far. Portland Trailblazers versus Oklahoma City Thunder. Portland is up 2-0 going into OKC. Definitely did not see this coming in my eyes. I thought Oklahoma was going to upset Portland, and I thought they were the better team, hands down. Who do you got in this one, and a little bit of insights on it?
Well, the problem with OKC is they're just not shooting the ball well. One of our keys was for Ferguson. He needs to hit threes for Oklahoma City to be successful. And right now, that's not happening. Paul George is not hitting threes either. So OKC is just struggling shooting the basketball, and Portland is not. I mean, that's just basically what it comes down to, make or miss league. Well, in this series, it really is the make or miss league.
Right.
The better backcourt is winning right now, the McCollum and Lillard. I expect that to change, though. I expect OKC. I expect next time we talk again, it's a 2-2 series, and OKC will have the advantage heading into Game 5. They'll have like a little bit of momentum. But that being said, I'm not that a firm believer in momentum. It might look like that because, you have momentum until you get hit in the face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it'll be 2-2 going back to Portland, and I think Portland will win Game 5. We'll preview that another day. But I think OKC, I think the pride of OKC, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, they're going to show up, and I think they will get games this weekend. I think they'll get games 3 and 4, and I think this will be a 2-2 series.
Yeah, and this Game 3 couldn't matter more for Oklahoma City. If they play bad tonight and they lose, Portland's going to sweep them. There is not going to be a Game 4, like a Game 5 or a Game 6. This is a must-win situation for Oklahoma City tonight.
Absolutely.
I don't know if Paul George's shoulder is still hurting him, like what exactly is wrong with the shoulder, but he needs to get himself a shot. He needs to take some alcohol before the game or something.
Right.
That pain in his shoulder needs to go away. I think Paul George is the difference maker in this series, and especially in this game. Russell can go for 30-plus points with 16 assists and 10 boards. All that doesn't matter if Paul George isn't hitting shots. Paul George, I think, is the key.
I completely agree with you. I said I see the series 2-2, right?
Yes.
But if OKC were to go down and it's 3-0, OKC is the type of team that the fingers will start pointing.
Yep.
Your fault, my fault, whose fault? I think it's the coach's fault. Billy Donovan could get fired. I mean, no, I'm not joking. This could be really bad if they lose Game 3. You talk about a must-win in their franchise history. Oklahoma City has a must-win Game 3. I think they'll do it, but if like you said, if they don't, they're a point-the-finger team.
They are a team built on toothpicks. They do not have a solid foundation or a solid core. I think the hiring of Billy Donovan as a coach was kind of like a bad choice anyways, because you had such big ego in Russell. And I believe at the time James Harden was still there too, if I'm not mistaken. So really big ego. So like as a college coach, not having any experience in the NBA, getting hired as Oklahoma City, I think that was a really strange hire. But if they do get swept, I definitely agree with you 100%. I think he is gone. They actually talked about it last year. I think like he was on his way out.
Yeah, Billy Donovan will be done. You can't get swept to the Portland Trailblazers and they don't have Nurkic.
Yeah,
you can't get. I don't care if Damian Lillard goes off for 50. You cannot get swept. You have Russell Westbrook and you have Paul George, two superior athletes coming downhill, scoring at will, and you get swept. Coach is done.
Well, in their defense, they are the lower seed, so maybe he can play that card into their hand. But as far as winner tonight, I think Portland is going to win tonight. Wow. I think they're going to play really well. I think that Paul George injury really starts showing itself when you're down 0-2, and then you have a long travel home.
Man, if you're right, if you're right, and it's 3-0 Portland, that press conference with Russell Westbrook, he's just going to be going, next question.
Right.
Next question. I mean, dude, that's a point-the-finger franchise. That's a franchise that would be in bad situation. Yeah.
So I think the only games we agree on tonight is Indiana, which hopefully, like, I become an Indiana Pacers fan as of this year. I never really had a NBA team. Living in Indiana, I was like, well, you know what? I might as well root for the hometown team. So that's the only game we agree on tonight. So somebody's going to be able to gloat a little bit come Monday afternoon. Hopefully it's myself, because I kind of want to see that Portland sweep, honestly.
And to me, the most disappointing team in all of the playoffs is the Utah Jazz. I think they play Saturday. So Monday, we'll know if that's a series also. Right? I mean, in other words, Houston will be up 3-0, or Jazz will save face a little bit and still be down 2-1. They'll get a game. That's another one right there. You cannot get swept by the Houston Rockets, and you have as much talent as Utah does.
Especially as a 2 seed.
Quinn Snyder. Well, no, I think this is the 4-5 matchup.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Quinn Snyder, he's another one. You lose to the Rockets in 4, you could get fired. You don't have Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert and get fired. One of the defensive players of the year, one of the best offensive players in the league. And they put that team together pretty well. You cannot get swept by the Rockets. Quinn Snyder will be on the hot seat just like Billy Donovan if they get swept.
They may have put a good regular season team together, but we've shown that they're not a very good playoff team. So
we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Is it a front office or a coaching situation? But we will take a quick break, and then we'll hit those Saturday matchups here. We have Philly, Nets, Nuggets, Spurs, Bucks, Detroit. Series is over there. And then Houston Jazz. We'll be right back on the other side of the break, and we'll cover those games real quick. And then we'll get into what's important to a lot of people, NFL draft, Kansas City Chiefs, the good stuff. We'll be right back, guys.
You know what? I jumped the gun.
Okay, sounds good. Right. Alrighty, guys, and welcome back to RTF Sports Talk. Our last show is RTF Sports Talk. Then we're transitioning over to the Marcus and Mike show. I am Mike. The other guy on the mic is Marcus. Marcus, how's it going?
Pretty good. Just can't wait to get these NBA playoffs, man. It's one of my favorite times of the year.
Yeah. So just to finish our quick picks for the weekend here, Saturday matchups. We're just going to quickly pick a win or loss team, and then we're going to transition over to the NFL season here. So we so we have Philly at the Nets. Who do you got winning that game?
I think the Nets show back up, and I think they make this thing 2-2.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm going to go on the other side of the coin there. I think 76ers found their groove last night, not with Ben Simmons, just a team, and they pull it out. Next up, you have Denver Nuggets at San Antonio Spurs. Your San Antonio Spurs. Who do you got? A little insight.
Game will be really close. I predict it's a 90-90 ball game with 4 minutes left, and the Spurs will hit the clutch shots and win by about 3 or 4 points.
Yeah,
this will come down to the final couple of possessions.
Yeah, and then that will put the Spurs at a very commanding 3-1 lead there. I'm gonna have to go with you as well. It's just something about this Denver team being 0-12 in playoff history when they're down 2-1. I don't think they're going to flip history this year. Give me the Spurs. Starting the evening cap, 8 p.m. on ESPN. You have the Bucks traveling to Detroit. Who do you got in this one?
Man, this is the worst series of them all because no Blake Griffin, and it's not like if Blake Griffin would have played, Detroit would have won the series or anything, but it would have been a little more competitive. This thing is over. You could actually. This thing is so over that if Giannis Antetokounmpo had some ailment, I'd rest him a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the Bucks will still be fine. This is an easy sweep here.
Yeah, and just to add to your point there, I do think the Bucks are going to win. It's going to be a sweep. If Blake Griffin was in there, they would have won one game because Drummond wouldn't have been such a head case. He would have been playing basketball like we've kind of seen all year. Houston at Jazz. Who do you got?
I have Jazz winning and tying up this series 2-2. I have Jazz winning in a blowout and in a close game in one, a blowout in the other one. And if they don't, then the heads are gonna roll there in Utah. Quinn Snyder could be in the hot seat. You cannot lose to the Rockets to get swept or anything like that. I think the Jazz are gonna show who they are. show who they were in the regular season. And I think I think this thing's gonna be 2-2 going back to Houston. Now I've seen no evidence of that yet because Utah's basically just laid down,
Yeah.
which is absolutely shocking to me. They're the most disappointing team in the playoffs right now, the Utah Jazz. But I think they muster it up at home, and I think they make this 2-2.
Yeah, and I think they're going to win tonight or on Saturday as well. We talked about it earlier how shooting goes down when you travel to Utah Jazz. I believe I believe it was 20% lower total field goal shooting percentage, and I'm not for sure if the Rockets are really ready to rely on that four-scoring option, meaning the mid range game. They're good at fast break points, foul shots, and three pointers. They don't have a really good mid shot game, and I think this comes back and bites them in this one game, in game 3 here. Do you quickly want to pick the Sunday games, even though we really don't know what's going to go on Friday?
Yeah, which Sunday games you mean?
Well, there's 4 games happening on Sunday. You have Boston, Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think Utah. Yeah, go ahead. Which give me the Sunday games? Absolutely.
Yeah, so we have Boston at Indiana. This will be a game 4. Currently, Boston runs 2.
Yeah, that'll be 2-2 by Monday by Sunday night. That series will be 2-2.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there 100%. I think we talked about that earlier. Yeah. Game 4 with Golden State, LA.
That'll be 3-1 Golden State, but I think the Clippers will show much better in Game 4. But that'll still be 3-1 Golden State.
Yeah, I think the Clippers show up as well. Make it a somewhat respectable game, but Golden State still wins by 10. Right. Toronto and Orlando. This is a Game 4 matchup as well.
That'll be 3-1 heading back to Toronto. I think it would not shock me though if Orlando picked up Game 3, though, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So it possibly could be 2-2, but I think it'll be 3-1 Toronto.
I think with Toronto losing tonight, this is a must-win situation for them. Kyle Lowry finally comes up and plays a great game. Series is tied going back to Toronto. Final game of the weekend, Portland at Oklahoma City. What do you got?
I got Oklahoma City winning both these games. It'll be 2-2 heading to Portland. These will be highly contested, close games. So I don't think there's any blowouts here, but OKC will tie them up. It'll be 2-2.
Yeah, and this is where we are completely opposite. I think Portland's going to win tonight, go up 3-0, and this is where Oklahoma City gets swept at home on their whole court.
Then
house.
Yep. Billy Donovan's done, and Oklahoma City has to question everything they've done in their organization if that happens.
If they get swept, does Paul George leave and go to LA?
No. I mean, no, because they'd have to trade him because he signed that big contract. I think Paul George will be fine. Russell Westbrook will be fine, but there'll be a lot of pointing fingers, and it'll be a lot of decision makings coming from Sam Presti about how do we construct a team with a new coach and getting better shooters around Paul George and Russell Westbrook. Sam Presti will have his work cut out for him big time.
If they get swept, are they a big player in the free agency next year with like Kyrie, with KD, Boogie Cousins? I believe I saw a stat where there's over 200 free agents this coming summer. Are they a big player on that, or do you think they're happy with the team that they got?
No, they'll be a big player in free agency. They're going to have to be, because basically if they get swept, what you're telling me is they're not constructed well enough to advance in the playoffs. So you're talking about you're going to have to replace like a Ferguson with a Chris Middleton or something. They're going to have to maneuver that cap around, and they need shooters, to play with Russell Westbrook and to play with Paul George.
Yeah.
It's like having 2 LeBrons on your team. In other words, those guys get double teams, those guys come downhill, they kick it out to shooters. And so they're going to have to, I think Steven Adams is safe. You're going to have to put 2 dead-eye shooters playing with Russell Westbrook, Adams, and Paul George. And Chris Middleton will be a big find in the offseason. If somehow they could land Chris Middleton, that would be unbelievable. Or a Fournier from Orlando would be awesome in an OKC uniform, because Fournier is a catch and shoot player. So right. Yeah, they're gonna have to rebuild that team, and I think Billy Donovan will be on the hot seat.
Well, and just to echo what you're saying here, there are scorers and then there's shooters in the NBA. Russell he is a scorer. He is not a shooter. So they will need a shooter to complement the scorer, if that makes sense to anybody out there. But let's totally go ahead and switch gears, flip this thing in reverse, go from nice, sunny, warm weather to winter. Football season schedule was released 2 days ago, as we talked about. We broke down the Cowboys schedule first, and we're both Cowboys fans. We love the Dallas Cowboys, but my first love, my true love, is the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not going to lie. If the Cowboys and Chiefs were to play in the Super Bowl, which is a very good possibility, it's going to happen this year, I got to go with the Chiefs just because, my hometown team, you got to root for hometown team. But let's go ahead and break down this Kansas City schedule. Marcus, I'll let you have the floor. You've had time to look at it for the show here. Just let me know what you're thinking. What do you think the record's going to be, and are they really a Super Bowl contender in your eyes?
I think they are a Super Bowl contender. I mean, I don't like the fact that they lost Dee Ford, and they lost Justin Houston. So that's I think they're in the, they could use a pass rusher in this draft. They have the 29th selection. I loved they picked up Emmanuel Ogbah. I've been watching Emmanuel Ogbah since right out of high school. He played at Oklahoma State. And I've watched him a lot. He's a pass rushing specialist, so he can kind of replace Dee Ford in that wide nine and get off the ball and attack the offensive tackle. Emmanuel Ogbah is a really good pass rusher, so that was a very good pickup. Little sneaky pickup there, under the radar. Wasn't like the big splash, but it was pretty good. So I think the Chiefs have I hate to say easy schedule in the NFL because. Man, NFL, man, it's an 8-8 league. Everybody's pretty much set up to go 8-8. The teams that go 12-4 win the close games, and they're not 8-8. And the teams that are 4-12 and 6-10, sometimes they have something wrong with them internally. That's true, but they have usually lost the close games. That's why they're not 9-7 or 10-6. These games come down to the wire. I mean, everybody gets paid the same. The New England Patriots can't pay their players more than the Raiders. So I mean, it's all fair. You know what I mean? So it's like anybody that term any given Sunday, it really applies in today's NFL. You have to bring your A game. I'll look at, for example, I think the Chiefs are going to beat the Jaguars Week 1, September 8th, right?
Yes.
But if the Chiefs come in with a not their A game, they come in just fooling around and we'll beat Jacksonville, which I don't think they will do. Guess what happens? Jacksonville wins 20-14. Which I don't see that happening. I see the Chiefs. You have all offseason to prepare for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, that's a good matchup, and actually I'm a Houston Texan fan too, so I need you to come in there and beat the Jacksonville Jaguars Week 1, and I think that'll happen. You're going to be taking on Flacco, new quarterback. That'll be fun to watch to see how Flacco is with a Jacksonville uniform right off the bat. And I think Emmanuel Ogbah gets. We can go ahead and project ahead a few months ahead. I think Emmanuel Ogbah gets a couple of sacks on that Jacksonville offensive line Week 1 on Flacco. That'll be fun to watch. The Chiefs, I mean, look at this. They have the Raiders Week 2, and then they're at home versus the Baltimore Ravens come in Week 3, and then they travel to Detroit. Then the Colts travel there, and that's 5-0 before you get to the Texans, and I think you beat the Texans. I see a 6-0 start by the Chiefs. I know that sounds crazy, but they'll probably be at least 5-1. I don't see 4-2. Mahomes is too talented. I mentioned the other day, Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, to me, are the best 1-2 punch in football, wide receiver tight end combination. And I think they're the best 1-2 punch in football, whether it's not a wide receiver tight end combination, whether it's just two players, two wide receivers. Name me a better tandem right now than those two, even at wide receiver position. I don't see one. So they would be tops in my eyes. Mahomes is fabulous. He's playing basketball while everybody else is playing football.
Right.
So I mean, he's having a blast there. I like Coach Andy Reid. And then the running back situation, it kind of hurt them losing the player they lost, getting suspended, Kareem Hunt. But I think they'll be just fine. They've added some new pieces there with running back. And when you have a Pat Mahomes, it's cool. It's pretty cool to have a dynamic running back with Pat Mahomes. Trust me, that helps.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need. He's a quarterback, and when you got that combination, they got Sammy Watkins too. When you have all these players to throw to, you don't necessarily need a dynamic running back. You need an adequate running back that gets the job done. You don't need a Le'Veon Bell, a Todd Gurley or something. It'd be nice to have because you had one in Kareem Hunt.
Yes.
He was kind of similar like that, but and I forgot who they're getting at running back or who they're but I mean you just have to have a really good running back, and I think they're okay at running back. I see the Chiefs going at least 12-4. Their back end of the schedule is really tough, and so but they're going to put enough wins in to where they can afford, like the Cowboys. Actually, it's kind of similar to the Cowboys.
Yep.
Cowboys they can afford a couple of losses in December because they're already going to be 10-2. So you can go 2-2 in December and still be 12-4. The back part of that Chiefs schedule, they're going to kill the Raiders on December 1st. And so they're already going to be 10-2 somewhere in there. Then they've got the Chiefs. They got to go to the Patriots. They got to play the Broncos. They'll beat the Broncos. Then they got to go to snowy Chicago on December 22nd at night, and then they end with Chargers Chiefs. That's a toss-up. So their schedule actually is the toughest to me in December, and so I see Chiefs 12-4.
Okay, very bold statement there. You alluded to our tailback situation and the whole releasing of Kareem Hunt, which I'm still butthurt about that. Like I'm really upset about that. I actually did a whole podcast about that situation of people always trying to bring a certain person down once they achieve to a certain level in life.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, oh, now I'm going to bring you down a year later, 15 years later.
Michael, let me ask you this question. You're a Chiefs fan.
Yes.
What the Chiefs should have done is just said, okay, we're suspending you till we figure out all the information. We're not going to release you.
Yeah.
You're going to be suspended indefinitely, and then we'll wait to see what the league says. But you can't show up at our facilities. But we're just not going to not release you. If they had just suspended him and just let Roger Goodell figure it out and everything figured out, and then they come back and they tell the Chiefs, hey, he's going to be gone for the next 8 games. Beginning in the year 2019,
Yep.
You would have the Chiefs, you would have Kareem Hunt starting week 9 in the NFL next year. But instead, the Chiefs kind of jumped the gun, and they're so afraid of the family, the hurting women issue, which I kind of get to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But so they were so afraid of that, they just released him without doing all their homework and filling out what the league might do. They could have still had that player week 9 next year. Now the Cleveland Browns have him. And so now the Cleveland Browns, that your competitor just got so much better now with Kareem Hunt. He'll be added to Cleveland Browns week 9. I know you're mad about that.
Yeah, I am very sad about it. Mainly, I guess I'm upset that he put himself in that situation. But at the same time, he was a first-year player in the league. Nobody really knew who he was. People act like it happened a week ago. Or like a week before he got suspended or released. It was a year ago. It was back after he just got drafted into the NFL, and so things like that really irritate me a lot. Just like you live in Texas, the Baylor's guy that got charged or accused of rape going into the draft, and he was not touched, and then just.
Sean Oakman.
Yeah, and just 4 weeks ago, all charges were dropped. Nothing ever happened, and he is playing semi-pro in Houston, Texas, somewhere with his big old gut.
The Chiefs should bring in Sean Oakman. To replace, you know what I mean?
Yeah. If he can get in any type of shape like he was in Baylor, he'd be a great force.
He would be.
So let's get back to. Sorry about that little tangent. Just that irritates me when people hold on to a grudge for 3 or 4 years, and then when you're finally doing well in life, you're like, oh, I'm going to bring this man down. It's irritating.
What the Chiefs did as an organizational decision, they overreacted to a bad mistake. They overreacted when they should have just suspended the player, let him stew, let him sit over there for a little while before we figure it out.
Yeah.
And they said bye before they had everything, before they got the feedback from the NFL on what his suspension would be.
Well, And I think it was a public perception that the Chiefs did not want to, because they were having such a good year. Yeah. They didn't want that black cloud hovering over their head, affecting Mahomes. Like, because at the end of the day, Chiefs are a very young team. So any type of turmoil could have easily tore that team apart. You know, you had a second year quarterback. You have a wide receiver core that's only been together for a couple years. I mean, your oldest player on that offense, like that star player, is a Travis Kelce. He's 24 years old. I mean, like, come on. So, say what you want. Me, like, I do agree with you. I think they jumped the gun. I think we need Kareem Hunt. If we had Kareem Hunt last year, I think we would have made it to the Super Bowl, honestly. But it is what it is. Brown's got a great pickup. Now, let me get to the schedule here real fast here. The one thing that's kind of
real quick, they got Michael, they got Carlos Hyde.
Yes.
Which is he's a pretty good runner. He's not Kareem Hunt, but Carlos Hyde's a pretty darn good football player. So go ahead, the schedule. Yeah. Go ahead. The schedule.
But the only thing I question about Carlos Hyde is I think he's been on like 4 teams in 3 years. He's jumping teams. So is he overrated, or is he a bad teammate? Like I wonder why he's jumping teams so much, because he was with Miami before this, right? And then he came to the Chiefs.
Well, and he was with the 49ers for a little while, but he's a good running back. And then you have Damian Williams. Like I said, I think you're in agreement with me that the Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Kelce situation, you don't need a Ezekiel Elliott back there, but you need a really good. I think Damian Williams is pretty good. Hey, wouldn't be shocked at all if Josh Jacobs from Alabama, is he on the board at 29?
Right.
Chiefs don't grab him. So.
Yeah, well, and just to add to your point that we saw it in the playoffs. You can score all the points you want in the regular season. You can be a pass-happy offense, but push comes to shove, defense wins championships. Running the ball wins championships. We saw it against the Rams and the Cowboys. C.J. Anderson ran for 140 yards or whatever. Kept the Cowboys.
He's still
offense,
running.
Yeah. Kept the Cowboys offense off the field. Patriots defense showed up, held the highest scoring offense in the league to 3 points. So
right.
I hear what you're saying, but let me get to the schedule here real quick. Okay. One thing that kind of concerned me a little bit here was the first 6 weeks of the season. One, we traveled to Jacksonville week 1. Then we're back on the road again versus Oakland. Then we play a playoff bound team a playoff team from last year in the Ravens for our first home game. Then we play a miserable Detroit team. Sorry, Pops. I know you're a Detroit fan, but Detroit sucks. They are horrible. And then we play another playoff team in the Colts, another playoff team in Houston. So, I mean, I could easily see us going 3-3, 2-4 in this first 6-game stretch. Like, I'm not saying they are, but I'm saying it's a very good possibility that they can, because we don't know what Oakland is going to be with Antonio Brown. Are they going to be the Oakland that we see on paper, or are they going to be Oakland Raiders of like last year? And I could very, very easily see the Kansas City Chiefs overlooking Jacksonville, looking for that divisional game versus Oakland. So, do you think I'm going to say they're going to go 3-3? Right? Nah, not my Kansas City Chiefs, man. They are going to go 5-1 in that first in that first game stretch. I think a loss is going to come to the Detroit Lions. I think we're going to overlook that game. Looking forward to the Colts. Looking forward to Houston. Basically, I need to give my dad a little bit of love. He's been a Detroit fan forever. He has suffered through that perfect season, the 0-16. You know, he suffered through all those 3-game wins, and I just want to throw him a bone. I think Kansas City Chiefs are because you always have that one game that you stumble on. Man, my phone's going crazy. That you stumble on, and I think that is that game.
Let me make a prediction for Kansas City Chiefs at Detroit. In a dome on turf, Tyreek Hill, he might have 4 touchdowns. In that dome, because think about it, I love the domes because there's no weather conditions. Yep. Mahomes will throw for 500.
You're faster.
Tyreek Hill will throw for Tyreek Hill have 4 touchdowns. They'll still be catching him, trying to catch him weeks. I mean, no, I mean Detroit's gonna have trouble against that team on that speed of that team and in the dome there. Where
Like
I think
you said,
you know what
any given Sunday though, any
given Sunday, yes, I get that. I get. I tell you what, I think where you're 100% correct. At Jacksonville, you don't know what to expect because Jacksonville has a hell of a defense.
Yeah.
And Jacksonville gave Kansas City fits last year. I don't know if you remember. Their defensive backs, Jacksonville, they're no joke. And so, but what you have to do in that game is Flacco. It's his first game. That's going to be an intriguing game to watch because Flacco is a turnover machine. He can be. He's kind of similar to Eli Manning in that regard. You fluster Joe Flacco a little bit, and you could have 3 interceptions that day, and that's what will help the Chiefs beat Jacksonville that day.
All right, so just I hope you're wrong. As much as I like Jacksonville, like when they first came into the league, I kind of passively became a Jacksonville fan, but quickly I'm like, nah, they aren't for me. But I had them beating Jacksonville, beating Oakland, beating Baltimore, losing to Detroit, a close game versus the Colts on Sunday Night Football, and another close game versus Houston. The good thing for the Chiefs are both of those games are home games, and the Sea of Red is a powerful force, man. Like they are a very when that place gets rocking, it is rocking. And Sunday night versus Colts don't really have a chance. Then we get into this part of the schedule where it can go one of two ways. It's going to go either really good or really bad. You're at Denver, play Green Bay, play Minnesota, at Tennessee. They seem to always have our number for some reason. That playoff loss still hurts me to this day. And then they go to Mexico City, hopefully, maybe Mexico City, versus the Chargers. During this 5-game stretch, I have them losing 2 games. Those 2 games, I don't know what it is. I know it's going to be the Titans. For some reason, the Titans always show up against Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know what it is. And then it's either going to be Denver or Chargers. Chargers are still a very, very good team. You guys forget that they had the second best record in the AFC last year.
Yeah.
But since they were in the same division as the Chiefs, they were a wild card team. That race actually came down to a final play of the final week. So
yeah, no, that the Chargers are impressive. What I like about that is after you go through that gauntlet you were talking about, those 5 games where you're going to go 3-2, which I agree with you on that. Then you get the bye week, so the bye comes at a really good time, and then you come out and then you don't travel after the bye week. You get the Raiders at home.
Right.
I think that's perfect. So just in case you kind of flounder on that 5-game gauntlet there, say you go 2-3, or hopefully it's 3-2, then you get the Raiders right off the bat off the bye week to get that win, and then you play the Patriots.
Yep. And I think the Patriots have our number still. They beat us, and then we lose at Chicago too, giving us 5 losses on this season. So I have a 11-5 season for Kansas City. I think I'm being pretty modest there. I think they could easily go 13-3, 14-2, but I have losses at Chicago, at the Patriots, in Mexico City versus the Chargers, at Tennessee and Detroit. I think we got a bad connection there, Marcus. So just to reiterate what I said, I think they're going to go 11-4. The only loss that I'm circling that I hope they better not lose is Detroit, because then at that point I'm not going to hear.
So you have 11-5. I've got 12-4.
Yeah.
You've got 11-5. I've got 12-4. These games sometimes that's what's the way the NFL is. They lose a couple of the close games. I think they could win. Then it could be 10-6. Yeah. If they win a couple of the close games, I think they're going to lose. It could be 13-3.
Yeah.
So it's
just the way the cookie crumbles, as what's his face says from Bruce Almighty. What is that movie? Is that Bruce Almighty?
I'm not sure. That's Jim Carrey as Bruce Almighty, yeah.
Just the way the cookie crumbles. But, so, on Tuesday, we'll go in and hit your Houston Texans as well. And then maybe we'll throw a special team in there. People love the Patriots, right? No, we hate the Patriots. Get those teams out of there. Yeah. Get those guys out of there. But, Marcus, let's go to a quick break, and then we'll go to talk NFL draft a little bit right after the break. We'll be right back, guys. We'll just do a quick a quick fire. Yeah, that's the biggest positive. Is we do play Colts, Ravens, and Houston all at home. So this year is going to be the year if Lamar Jackson is a bust or is a success, 100%. That was actually one of our biggest podcasts ever. Was I said Lamar Jackson is an overrated player and he sucks. People went crazy on me like about that. But all right, guys, welcome back to RTF Sports Talk, aka the Marcus and Mike Show. I am Mike, and the guy to my left there is Marcus. Guys, we're going to end the segment every Friday. We're going to do a rapid fire questions. Like I'm going to shoot Marcus some questions real fast. He has no time to prepare. These are all questions off the top of my dome. I have a couple written down down here, but Marcus, we're going to jump right into it. A rapid fire Friday. Ended the week on a positive note. Are you ready? I don't know the questions either. I have them wrote up. I have a couple notifications here, but the biggest notification that I got before we came on the podcast was Marquez Sweet has been diagnosed with a heart issue, and it has been reported that 4 teams has taken him off their boards. They don't want to touch him. How far do you think he falls in the draft if this is true? Right. Not to be a selfish player, but or a selfish person, I do hope more teams take him off the board and he falls down to the Kansas City Chiefs, because that is one of our biggest needs is defensive side of the ball. Yeah, perfect. That'd be a beautiful pick. So we've kind of been hyping Kyler Murray, or not me, but we as a society has been hyping Kyler Murray as a first number 1 overall pick. Let's say he does not go to the Cardinals. He does not go to the 49ers. How far do you think he falls, or does a team jump up and like get him at that number 3 pick, or even a number 2 pick? Do they make a trade? Okay. Yeah, that's a great point here. So every year there are teams in the NFL that do not make the playoffs that are horrible teams, and next year they make the playoffs. Out of the top 5 picks in the draft, you have the Cardinals, 49ers, Jets, Raiders, and Bucks. Out of those 5 teams, which one do you see making the playoffs?
And double teams. That's why Josh Allen needs to get to the Jets or Quinnen Williams. Cardinals are a mess. I mean, they need to work on that offensive line. The only team right there is the 49ers, and that's because they actually have a decent quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not 100% sold on Jimmy Garoppolo, but I'm not one of those naysayers. I've watched enough Jimmy G that he reminds me a little bit of Romo, a little bit of Montana. I'm not joking. He has that flash. He has that ability to be a really good quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. And so if the 49ers hit on Jimmy Garoppolo, he's a good quarterback, the 49ers have a shot to be a wild card team this year.
And I'm not buying into that Jimmy G hype simply because I got burned by the Matt Castle thing as a Kansas City Chiefs fan when he had a great year with the Patriots and he came to the Chiefs and he was a total bust. I have to see more of Jimmy G. Yeah, he had a couple great games when he came in those last, and they tore his ACL, I think it was, or Achilles. Can't remember for sure his injury.
Well, just by the way, the question you asked me, I don't think any of those teams are making the playoffs. But if I had to answer, it'd be the 49ers. But I don't even think they're going to make it. I think they'll be 9-7 and outside that.
They do have the best bet because of the division that they play in, but they do share a division with the Rams and the Seahawks, and it seems like they're always in there for some reason, always up at the top. So now let's go to the other side of the draft board, the bottom 5 teams. The top 5 teams. You have the Patriots, Rams, Packers picking at number 30, the Chiefs, and then the Chargers as well. Out of those 5 teams, which ones do not make the playoffs?
The Packers. I don't think the Chiefs are making it. Chargers are making it. Rams are making it. Patriots are making it. The Packers, I don't. I mean, yeah, they have Aaron Rodgers is what the best arm talent in the history of football, pro football. The best touchdown to interception ratio in the history of football is Aaron Rodgers. Hey, you want to guess who's second? If he gets enough attempts this year, who would qualify?
Drew Brees.
No. Right now, Russell Wilson is second.
Okay.
Your boy Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, he just doesn't have enough attempts to get there, but he's got one of the best touchdowns to interception ratios of all time. But Aaron Rodgers is tops. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Yeah. But Aaron Rodgers is tops though right now, and that guy's incredible. But out of those 5 teams, Packers don't have the strongest. They don't have the strongest team there. They don't have the strongest defense or offense. I mean, that Aaron Rodgers is a hell of a player, but they'll be back in that 9-7 range. I don't think they'll make it out of those top 5 teams.
And a couple more questions here. If you were a team in the draft coming up on Thursday, which team do you want to be going into the draft? Do you want to be Oakland? Do you want to be Bengals? Who do you think has the best opportunity to make the most noise in the draft?
Man, I love Oakland. I think they're in a good position at the 4th pick because if that's Kyler Murray, they have to get better on defense. And if Kyler Murray goes 1, Oakland's sweet at 4, regardless, even if Kyler Murray doesn't go 1. But if Kyler Murray goes 1, there are 3 defensive studs in the draft, and that's Allen, Bosa, and Quinnen Williams. So basically, you're just going to sit there and pick the one that the Jets and the 49ers didn't pick. You're happy to take whoever, like if it's Allen falls to you at 4, you take it. If it's Bosa that falls to you at 4, you take it. If it's Quinnen Williams, who I think is the best defensive player in this draft, may not get the most sacks because I think Allen and Bosa will get more sacks, but Quinnen Williams is the best defensive player in this draft. You can line him up at any of the 4 positions. If the Raiders are sitting there and Quinnen Williams from Alabama is staring at them in the face, they're going to be high-fiving in the draft boardroom. Then they have potential with their other picks to make some noise, with the 27th pick and the 24th pick, yeah, and so I would like to be Mike Mayock former NFL Network Mike Mayock is now the general manager of the Oakland Raiders, and he's got a chance here to put his hands on a good draft. And I love when you have multiple picks, you have flexibility. So Mayock could take the 27th pick and the 24th pick, right? And if he sees a player like it's 17 or 16 that they really need, you can take 27 and 24 and move up to 17 or 16 and get a pick. So that flexibility of having multiple draft picks, I think Mike Mayock is having right now. Mike Mayock is in some room right now, and he's having a great time looking at his draft board and looking at all the different things he can do. So I'd want to be Mike Mayock.
He's doing that evil laugh to him, like,
yeah,
because even if he wanted to, he could give anybody the 24th and the 27th that they can possibly move up into the top 10. I mean, it's a very good possibility that he could.
It's possible, yeah. If a team like the Bills don't see anything they want, and the Bills need lots of help, they could give the Raiders number 9, take 24 and 27, and I think they still need another like a 4th round pick to go along with that.
Right.
So they could build their roster like that. The funny thing about the Raiders draft though is they thought they were going to get a better pick when they traded Amari Cooper to the Cowboys because the Cowboys were like 3-5.
Right.
So they thought they were going to get like their pick at 4. And Cowboys were gonna be terrible. They'd have like the 8th or 9th pick. The Cowboys did so well. The Cowboys did so well and put them at the 27th pick. So now they have to take their 27th and 24th and have to move up if they want to move up. So I thought that's funny.
And the final question for Friday Fire here. We're staying in the NFL. Who is your way too early Super Bowl prediction?
Oh, my God. Super Bowl prediction.
Way too early, though.
Yeah, it's really early. Man, I hate to sound like a homer here, but I think the Dallas Cowboys and the Rams, I think that's a great – I think that would be a great NFC Championship game, Cowboys-Rams.
Yep.
I think Dallas wants revenge against the Rams. You can flip a coin on that one. That'll be intriguing. I don't know if I'll go Super Bowl matchup, but Cowboys-Rams NFC Championship, and how about Chiefs-Texans AFC Championship?
Oh, look at you. All Texas Super Bowl?
It's possible. I've been waiting for one for many moons. We almost had one in the 90s, Warren Moon versus Troy Aikman, but Houston decided to give up a 35-point lead to Buffalo. That was really fun. And then in the 70s, when I was a really little kid, the Houston Oilers and Earl Campbell played the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game and lost. So there could have been a Texas Super Bowl there too. So we've missed out on a few of those. I'm been patiently waiting for 40 years for a all Texas Super Bowl. Maybe we'll get one, but I think Dallas and Rams, I think that's a good NFC Championship game. And then Houston Texans, Chiefs. And then can you imagine, I mean, if Houston and Dallas both lost those NFC and AFC Championship games, we get a rematch of the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Rams. That game's going to be 50-50.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl, I think people would like that.
Yeah, hopefully you're right. I would love to see my Kansas City Chiefs and the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Either way, the Super Bowl is going to be exciting. But guys, that is all for Friday's podcast here. Thank you for joining Marcus and myself. I am Mike. Starting on Monday, we'll be back here at 1:45 at the usual time. But then moving forward, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 4 p.m. on the YouTube channel. Search for the Marcus and Mike Show on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Podcasts, etc. YouTube Live, obviously, as well. Be sure to give us a ranking on iTunes. That would be fantastic, preferably five stars. We have some big news coming for you on Monday about iTunes. So, guys, stay tuned. Share the podcast, like it, subscribe to it, follow it. Any closing thoughts, Marcus, before we head out?
No, I just can't wait to watch this NBA weekend and see who we find out this weekend if there's going to be some long series or this thing's going to be real quick games, teams winning in 4 and 5. So there's teams that have a chance to make it up and be 2-2 or get swept or go in 5. So this weekend is we'll find out who's real and who's not.
There's a lot of basketball happening this weekend, guys. Be sure to get some queso in you, some bag of chips, some popcorn, all that good stuff. And happy Easter, guys. We'll catch you guys back Monday. Have a good weekend. We out. All right.
Hey, so 3 p.m. on 3 p.m. That's Central, right?
Yeah, on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays.
Okay.
If you want to go on Monday, we can still go. I don't start my job until Tuesday. So if you want to do Monday like we are now,
Oh, Monday. Okay, I'll do
Yeah.
Monday. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
and then that'll be our
Okay.
last
Right.
Monday show type of thing.
Right.
Does that work?
Yeah. Yeah. Next Friday's the Avengers, man. I'm chomping at the bit.
There you go. Movie
Next
buff
Friday.
Marcus.
Are you in? Are you gonna go see the Avengers too? Or?
I'm not really a movie connoisseur.
Yeah.
Like now my wife is like she loves watching her movies and whatnot. I go to support her. I think the last movie I saw was the new Jurassic Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like
But you're not into like Spider-Man and Captain America and all that, no?
no,
Okay.
I can honestly say I don't think I've ever seen any of those, to be honest
Really?
with you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, we love it. Me and my kids over here. We watch. We can't wait for that.
yeah.
Avengers weekend is next weekend.
There you go, man. There you go. All right, so
Okay.
I will.
All right, I'll see you Monday, 12:45,
Yep, I'll see you then, bud.
and then we'll find out. Like we said, we'll find out if we have some sweeps or some tutus, or
Yeah,
we find out this weekend. We find out this weekend if any series is going to go long.
Yes, you are
Yeah.
100% correct there.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
But we'll catch you on a Monday.
Okay. All right, Mike. Thank you.
Later, bub.
Bye.